Class is in session, the Electoral College. Hava Flav is here, dropping some knowledge. Throwing it back, EC founded in 1787. But since then, it hasn't exactly been heaven. Haters of EC will be quick to quote the popular slogan, one person, one vote. Speaking of popular, why don't we use that? The answer's in the bars Hamilton spat. I'm not talking about Broadway, I mean the real thing. The US was moving to a president past the king. He said, give all power to the many that will oppress the few. Give all power to the few that will oppress the many. The founding fathers wanted a democracy that was brand new. Since then we've elected G's, like the dude on the dollar and penny. Founding fathers didn't agree on a simple majority. Compromising on election method was their priority. They had to compromise between popular votes and congressional appointment. Either was better than King George the loser. Ooh, burn, gonna need ointment. Some peeps scared about the popular masses full of rogues, saying the EC gives a little guy swagger like Muggsy Bogues. We talking small populations, Rhode Island, Wyoming, Alaska. Some states going against the flow, just look at Nebraska. Giving 2 votes to state winner, but 1 for the winner of each district. Maine was the first to do this, maybe Nebraska was jelly, no biscuit. With all other states, it's winner take all, no matter how big the state or no matter how small. This has led to rumblings and led to chatter, peeps worrying that their vote doesn't matter. Even with the system, there's been a close call. The Bush versus Gore election was an all-out brawl. Gore by $500,000 won the popular vote, but this win came with a huge side note. After a recount in Florida was finally done, Bush had won the EC with 271. Some states are usually red, some usually blue, and some it's hard to tell exactly what they'll do. If a fuzzy state of lots of EC votes is called a swing state, for some folks that's an unfair system that can bring hate. Saying candidates only bother to visit these places, knowing other states are a lock for EC races. 2016, Clinton wins the popular vote by 2 mil, but no White House for Hillary, first dude won't be Bill. Will the EC hold up? Who knows what's in store? It seems Maine and Nebraska will soon be joined by more. States like Maryland wanting to break from the norm. Instead of winner take all, they'll use a different form. What will be the future? No one really knows, but controversy will follow where the EC goes.
Right now, take a minute to think about the Electoral College. How much do you really know? Why was the Electoral College created? What purpose did our founders intend for it to serve? Are you in support of the Electoral College as the most efficient method for conducting a democracy in presidential elections? Are you against it? Is your opinion based on election results or a fundamental viewpoint?
The Electoral College was crafted in 1787 by the framers of the Constitution. This system was created as a compromise between a popular vote and a congressional appointment. Universal support for a popular election was not present due to the transition into democracy at the time, so each state was allotted a number of electors equal to its congressional delegation. While there have been alterations made to the college since its initial establishment, the fundamental elements of this system are still in place today. Constitutional amendments have worked to improve the Electoral College, and individual states have modified the way they implement it. The controversy surrounding the system has been present since its conception.
Even our founding father Alexander Hamilton noted that if the manner of it be not perfect, it is at least excellent. There have been multiple elections where the college's resilience has been challenged. These controversial outcomes have ultimately led to a public discussion about whether or not this system is the correct way to conduct a democracy. Originally, the college was crafted based on the founding fathers' value of the fear of democracy. They were not ready to give the power to the masses through a popular vote and believed that the use of electors was a safe transition from a monarchy. The majority of the population was not educated enough to be trusted with the power to choose who would lead the newly free world. The founders agreed that a system such as the Electoral College would protect their values and ensure that an educated decision would be made. Today, it can be argued that the college is used to protect the values of Americans who cannot speak for themselves. Less populous regions would not be fairly represented in a popular vote, and the college guarantees them a say. It creates a balance between the widely dispersed interests of Americans and establishes a sense of inclusiveness among the population.
Before the Bush-Gore election in 2000, the most recent election that had the popular vote winner lose the election happened in 1888. which was between Benjamin Harrison and Grover Cleveland. The fact that there hadn't been an election lost by the popular vote winner since the late 1800s made it especially noteworthy in 2000 when Gore lost the presidency to the complexities of the Electoral College process. The 2000 election was especially controversial because of how close the Electoral College race was, with Bush winning 271 votes to Gore's 266. In a country like the United States, where support for the two major political ideologies of republic and democracy are so evenly split among the population, there are bound to be lots of unhappy people after the votes for the presidency are counted, no matter the outcome. However, people become far more distressed over the loss of their candidate when they know that their candidate received more votes than the winner. Perhaps the most controversial part of the 2000 election was the manner in which George Bush won the state of Florida. The race for Florida was incredibly close, as Bush won by a mere 600 people in a state of 16 million. Bush's victory in Florida turned out to be the deciding factor of the election, because had Bush lost Florida, Gore would have beaten Bush for the presidency by over 50 electoral votes. This is the nuance of the Electoral College that many people have a problem with. The power that, quote-unquote, swing states have in determining the president-elect. California is not a swing state because it has voted in favor of the Democratic candidate for the past 7 presidential elections, while Florida is a swing state because its vote regularly changes between Democratic and Republican from election to election. This can make it seem as if the presidential election is really only decided by a few states, while the majority of people don't have much of a voice in deciding who our next president will be.
While there are many reasons to argue for the support of the Electoral College, there are also reasons to argue against it. One such reason is that the states that are bigger receive more electoral votes and therefore are paid more attention than those that receive a smaller number of votes. Electoral candidates spend more time in bigger swing states than they would in a state with fewer electoral votes, like a Montana or Delaware. Another reason there are people who aren't fans of the Electoral College is the impact of the winner-take-all system. Whichever candidate wins the common vote majority wins all of the electoral votes for the state. If a Republican candidate wins 51% of the vote, then they will win the entirety of the electoral votes for that state. This can cause many people to feel as though their votes don't matter, which is a common sentiment among young voters.
The argument is often made that the Electoral College allows the Americans living in smaller states the opportunity to have their vote make a legitimate impact on the selection of a president. Without the Electoral College voting system, the president would be elected by a majority consisting of city dwellers in highly populated states located mainly along the coasts. Americans living in states such as Montana, Iowa, and Alaska would have little influence in the selection of the most powerful individual in the American government.
Was the Electoral College a restriction of democracy born out of the fear of the masses? Does the Electoral College still exist in order to ensure a more fair representation of the people, or is it still not fundamentally fair?
So, are you in support of the Electoral College as the most efficient method for conducting a democracy in presidential elections, or are you against it?